At Mom's birthday, I knocked on the door with my kids. My dad answered, looked at me, and said, "Today's not a good day for your kind of energy." I didn't react, just hugged my daughter and said, "Let's go see a movie." Half an hour later, my brother texted me, "Why did you cancel Mom's trust account?" I was ready to explode. But I stood on that porch, my daughter's hand in mine, my son standing just behind me, and I waited for someone to act like family. When the door opened, my dad stood there like I'd shown up uninvited to a private party. His eyes didn't land on the gift bag or the kids, just on me. And what he said felt like someone dropping a match into gasoline. "Today's not a good day for your kind of energy." No context, no greeting, just that. And then from inside the house, her voice floated out clear as day. "Don't let them in. I don't want to sing today." Not even trying to whisper. I'd heard her say that same line once before. When I brought my daughter to Thanksgiving 3 years ago, just a week after my divorce, she said she didn't want any tension at the table. Back then, I made excuses for her, said she was overwhelmed, told myself people say careless things when they're stressed. But this time, I felt something break in me. Not loud, not messy, just final. In that gift bag was a luxury gift certificate to the store she goes to every weekend like clockwork. It was thousands of dollars. I'd saved for months. I wanted her to feel appreciated. I wanted the kids to feel included. I had even called ahead to ask if anyone else would be there just to avoid any drama. I could have said 1,000 things. I had them all on the tip of my tongue, but I looked at my daughter and said, "Let's go see a movie." And we left. I didn't look back. I didn't slam the gate. I just buckled my kids into the car and drove off. About 30 minutes into the previews, my phone buzzed. I knew it was coming. My brother, all caps, "Why did you cancel Mom's trust account?" I didn't reply, because I hadn't just canceled it in a fit of rage. I'd closed it calmly before I even knocked on that door. That account was mine, created after my mom's health scare, funded entirely by me. I never told them that. I let them believe it was a family account, that it was just there, like everything else they assume shows up for free. But I was the one who opened it. I was the one who paid into it. I was the one who remembered her prescriptions, scheduled her rides, stocked her fridge when she was recovering, and my brother was too busy flying out for his 5th vacation of the year. And I was the one they didn't want on her birthday. So, no, I didn't yell. I didn't demand answers. I just quietly cut the cord. They were about to find out what life looks like without my kind of energy, and I hadn't even started yet. The next morning, my phone looked like a war zone. 13 missed calls, 9 texts, and 2 voicemails. All of them had the same frantic energy, as if the world had suddenly shifted and no one could quite figure out how. Not a single one of them asked if we were okay. My brother's messages were all over the place. At first, it was confusion. Then it turned aggressive. He asked how I could do this to Mom on her birthday, accused me of being vindictive, called me ungrateful. As if the woman who told my father not to let me in like I was a problem at her door was somehow a victim in all this. I listened to one of his voicemails. His voice was sharp, fake calm in the beginning, but it cracked halfway through. "You can't just shut down something Mom depends on. That's not yours to touch. You've gone too far, Davida. You've really crossed a line." I didn't respond. What they never understood is that I was always the one keeping the wheels turning in the background. I never asked them for anything. I just handled things quietly, efficiently. For years, I told myself that if I didn't ask for credit, maybe I'd finally get some respect. But that was the joke. They don't give you respect for being dependable. They give you silence, distance, and then they blame you when you finally walk away. The trust account was in my name. Every dollar had come from me. I had created it after Mom's health scare because no one else stepped up. I made sure she could get what she needed without asking. My brother didn't even know the login details. He thought the money just appeared like it was conjured up from some mysterious family inheritance. There was no inheritance. There was just me. Later that day, a text came through from my dad. "You've made your point. Let's just move past this." That was it. No apology, no acknowledgement of what he said on the porch, no recognition of what he didn't do, like standing up for his daughter and his grandkids while his wife made sure we weren't allowed inside. I didn't reply. I was still holding the gift bag. My daughter had left it in the hallway after the movie, and I hadn't touched it. I sat down and opened it just to see. The card she made had sparkles glued to every corner. She'd written, "Happy birthday, Grandma," in pink crayon and drawn the 3 of us as stick figures holding balloons. I stared at that drawing for a long time and I felt it again. Not the anger, not even the sadness, just clarity. My family had made it clear that we were optional, disposable, even. Well, now the feeling was mutual. That evening, my son asked if we were going to Grandma's house the next day to drop off the present. He still didn't know what had happened. I told him no gently. I said, "We might do something different instead." He shrugged. "Hey, can we still make cookies next weekend?" I told him yes, and I meant it. They may have shut us out, but I wasn't going to let them leave a mark on my kids. They would know what it feels like to be wanted, to be heard, to be safe. What my parents and brother didn't realize was that this was just the beginning. The trust account was the first quiet message. The second would be even more personal. I was done letting them coast on the benefits of my silence. Now they were going to learn what it really meant to lose me. By the end of the week, it became obvious they still didn't believe I was serious. My brother sent a text asking me to talk this out like adults. He wanted to meet for coffee, just the two of us. I didn't answer. He followed up with a guilt trip, telling me Mom had been crying for 2 days, saying she didn't understand why I was punishing her for something she didn't even say. But she did say it, and she said it loud enough for me to hear through a closed door. She knew exactly what she was doing. I hadn't told them I heard her. I never brought it up. I didn't see the point. If they wanted to pretend I was the one who caused all this, they were welcome to their version. I just wasn't going to play along. They kept reaching out, not because they missed me, but because they were starting to feel the pressure. The trust account had been just one piece. I also handled a lot of Mom's paperwork, insurance documents, medication reminders. I was the one who set up all her appointments through a clinic portal they couldn't even log into. My mom had relied on me for years, quietly behind the scenes, and now those systems were starting to crack without me. Then came the call from the pharmacy, the automated one. Her refill was delayed because she hadn't confirmed it. Normally, I would have taken care of that 2 days before it even ran out. I didn't pick up. Later, I found out she had to pay out of pocket for one of her meds because the insurance approval hadn't gone through. That used to be my job too. So I kept quiet. I wasn't being cruel, I just stopped being their unpaid safety net. Then something unexpected happened. My aunt called me, my mom's sister. We don't talk much. She said she heard about the drama from my dad and wanted to know what really happened. I told her the truth. I didn't exaggerate or vent. I just told her what was said at the door, that I had my kids with me, that I had a gift, that I left without a word. She didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then she said, "That sounds like your mom. I'm sorry." It was the first time someone in my family had ever said that to me, ever acknowledged that maybe I wasn't the problem. It hit harder than I expected. Over the next week, the silence shifted. At first, it had been theirs. Now, it was mine, and they didn't know what to do with it. They were used to me being the one to reach out, the one to patch things up, the one to move on, but I was done being the one who kept the bridge from collapsing. I hadn't burned it, I just stopped holding it up, and they were starting to feel the drop. It didn't take long for things to start falling apart. 2 weeks after I walked away, my brother's business took a hit. Something with a failed client contract, legal fees, and a bunch of mismanaged funds. I didn't know all the details, just enough to know he'd been leaning on my parents for financial support more than anyone realized. I found out when I got a text from him that simply said, "Can we talk?" I ignored it. The next day, my dad called straight to voicemail. He left a message, his voice tense, said there were some things happening and that maybe we should get together and clear the air. I didn't call back. That same week, my mom had to cancel an elective procedure she'd been planning for months. Insurance denied it, probably because no one had followed up on the paperwork, the part I usually handled. My aunt texted me that Mom was blaming everyone but herself, and then finally she called. She didn't ask how the kids were, didn't ask if we were okay, just launched straight into her version of an apology, which wasn't really an apology. She said, "I never meant for things to go this far." I said, "You didn't mean for you to lose something?" She was quiet for a few seconds. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I told your father not to say that to you. I told him to let you in." I sat with that because I remembered exactly what I heard that day. She did say not to let us in. I heard it, and now she was rewriting the memory because the consequences finally hurt. That's what stung the most. Not the lie, but the fact that even now she couldn't take full responsibility. She was still hiding behind someone else. First me, now my dad. I didn't argue, I just said, "I hope things work out for you." She asked if we could meet, said, "The kids probably miss their grandparents." I told her calmly, "They're okay." She paused, then said, Do you really want to throw away this relationship over one bad day? And I said, it wasn't one day. It was the day I stopped pretending everything before it didn't matter. After that, she didn't call again. They thought cutting me off emotionally would leave me begging to be let back in. Instead, they were the ones now standing outside looking in. I wasn't being cruel, I was just done. For years, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Now, they were learning what it feels like when I stop. And I hadn't even said no out loud yet, but it was coming. I thought it would take months for them to come back around, that they'd stew in silence, too proud to admit they'd need me again. It took 17 days. It started with a text from my brother. Can we talk? We're in a tough spot. It's not just about Mom. I didn't reply. The next morning, my dad emailed me, which he's never done before. It was formal, almost like a business letter. He wrote that there had been unfortunate financial developments and that my insight would be valued. He even called me Davida in the subject line, like I was some outside consultant. I didn't reply to that either. I wasn't playing a game. I just didn't see the point of revisiting a pattern I'd already broken. For years, I was their fallback, the one who always came through after everyone else left the mess. They liked to pretend I was dramatic, too sensitive, always overreacting. But when the lights went out, they always called me. And now they were doing it again, just dressed it up a little nicer. I ignored it until my mom showed up on my porch. It was a Tuesday late afternoon. I had just come back from picking up groceries. There she was, standing with her purse clutched in front of her, like she wasn't sure what she was even doing there. She said they missed the kids, that things had gotten complicated. Then she said it. You're the only one who can help us. That was when I knew she still didn't get it. This wasn't about a favor. It wasn't about a single mistake. It was about years, about silence when I needed support, about birthday parties we weren't invited to, about my kids asking why their grandparents never called. I stood there and looked at her and said, I hope you figure it out. She was quiet. I think she thought I was bluffing, that I just needed to say it once and then would come crawling back, but I didn't. She left without another word. That night, I got an email, not from any of them, but from their financial advisor. A routine tax audit had been triggered by the trust account closure. Apparently, in a very stupid move, my brother had been using the account, my account, to claim certain deductions tied to his business. I don't know how or why he thought that wouldn't catch up to him, but the moment I shut it down, it unraveled the whole setup. They weren't just asking me for emotional peace, they were asking me to cover their mistakes. I didn't respond to the advisor either. Then something unexpected happened. My daughter asked me if she could give the gift card we never delivered to her teacher for the end of the school year. I asked her why, and she said, because I want to give it to someone who's actually nice. It stopped me cold. She didn't even say it with malice, just pure logic, the kind only kids seem to have. That night, I gave her the card and told her to write a new note. I always thought the hardest part would be saying no to my family, but it wasn't. The hardest part was realizing I should have said it years ago. It's been 4 months now. No more surprise visits, no more texts pretending nothing happened. The calls stopped a few weeks after my mom left my porch. Even my brother went quiet after their accountant confirmed what I already knew, that the audit mess they were drowning in had started the moment I pulled my name off that account. They'd stopped needing me, or more accurately, they'd stopped thinking I'd still show up when they did. What they didn't know, and probably never will, is that I kept a backup of everything. Every transaction, every signed document, even the emails they sent asking me to manage Mom's paperwork just this once. I have it all. I never said I'd use it, but I also never said I wouldn't. That's the part that keeps them uneasy. Last week, I heard from my aunt again. She said, Mom still blames your dad and your brother. Says she never meant for me to take things so seriously. Claims she never told him to shut us out, just that she needed a quiet day. But my aunt knows better. She heard the same things I did years before I ever said a word. Then came the real test. My daughter came home from school with a flyer, Grandparents' Day. She asked without hesitation if she could invite her teacher instead. Said her teacher helped her when she cried that one time because she missed when people used to pretend to be nice. It hit harder than I expected, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. I asked her gently if she wanted to see Grandma and Grandpa again just to talk. She said, not if they're still like that. I told her they were. My kids never asked again. I get updates sometimes. From my aunt, from an old neighbor who still lives down the block from my parents. My brother sold his car. My dad's retirement got pushed back. My mom's been quiet lately. Hasn't hosted anything in months. People whisper about what happened. They think it was a family falling out over money. But that was only the surface. The truth was simpler. They thought I'd always be the one who came back, no matter how far they pushed me away. But I didn't come back. I didn't yell, didn't demand anything, didn't make a scene. I just closed the door behind me. And for the first time in years, I didn't miss the sound of them on the other side. It's been almost a year since that day on the porch. The silence is no longer awkward. It's familiar now, plain, predictable. Every so often, someone still tries to get through. This time, it was a letter. Real paper, real envelope, no return address. But I recognized the handwriting immediately, my mom's small, sharp loops. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity still wins sometimes. The letter wasn't long. She wrote that she'd been thinking about the kids, that she didn't expect forgiveness, but hoped someday there'd be space for healing. She said she missed them, that she had framed drawings they made years ago still hanging in her hallway. She didn't mention what happened. Not the door, not the comment, not the months of silence that followed, just the kind of vague sentiment people use when they want comfort without accountability. But something stuck out. At the bottom, she'd written, "Please let them know I still love them, even if they never hear it from me directly." I sat with that line for a while. It felt honest for once, but also sad, because even now she was talking around them, not to them. I didn't respond. I folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer I rarely open. Not out of spite, just because I've learned that not everything broken is meant to be fixed. A week later, my son found the old birthday card we never gave her, the one with the glitter still stuck in the fold. He looked at it for a long time and asked, "Did Grandma ever say sorry?" I told him, "No, not really." He nodded. Then he said, "I don't think I want to visit someone who can't even do that." I didn't say anything. I just hugged him. They still haven't met the new teacher I started seeing. I haven't told my parents I'm dating again. I haven't told them anything really, but I know they're watching through someone. Maybe my aunt, maybe social media, maybe just old habits. I know they're still wondering if I'll ever let them back in, and the answer is the same as it was the day I left that porch. Because love isn't supposed to feel like an ultimatum, and forgiveness isn't earned just by waiting.